clock keeps ticking like a metronome, and my thoughts keep telling me to get me home, but my balls keep telling me to let me just let me That clock keeps ticking like a metronome, and my thoughts keep telling me to get me home, but my balls keep telling me to let me just let me That clock keeps ticking like a metronome, and my thoughts keep telling me to get me home, but my balls keep telling me to let me fuck all that shit, just let me go.
Broadcasting live in the heart of Europe, this is the most badass YouTube broadcasting all of the known land. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tommy C. This is Shot from the Point, very special, different Shot from the Point. If I get it wrong, because I'm not good with the French, I have the one, the only, with a really interesting internet story to tell, Josh Pillault with me right now. Josh, how are you, sir?
Hi, man. I'm doing great today.
You're doing good today. All right. You want to get right into it, or you ready for this?
Oh, yeah, man. I think I can handle it.
Thank you so much, MP5, for the very generous donation. I do appreciate it. All right. Let me give you a little background. Josh was sentenced to 6 years in prison for essentially what he calls internet trolling. I'm assuming it had something with, I was not able to locate the actual, what was the actual charge you were convicted of?
I was charged initially with 2 counts, one being transmitting threats to kill and injure the person of another, and transmitting threats to destroy buildings by means of fire and explosives.
Oh, jeez. So those charges do fall under the Patriot Act, so you are listed as a terrorist, correct?
Yes, I'm a domestic terrorist on paper. Thankfully, I was not hit with the Patriot Act and sent to Guantanamo Bay or anything, but yeah, on paper, I'm a domestic terrorist considered. Unbelievable.
All right, we'll get into all the details of that. But we're going to start it off from the very beginning. This goes back to 2011, correct?
2012.
2012. This happened in 2012. You're a RuneScape player, and you got to apologize. I don't know much about it. I'm a pretty heavy gamer, but I'm not a RuneScape guy. The only thing I know about RuneScape is there was a gentleman on Twitch that was falsely accused of being a pedophile, and that's the first time I saw RuneScape. So I really know next to nothing about this game. Yeah. Well, he ended up getting really famous on Twitch. Became a big time Twitch streamer after that.
Oh wow.
Yeah. You got a lot of catching up to do, brother.
Yeah. The internet in 2018 is what I was about to say.
You got to readjust, and you have to be a denormied as you're here. All right. You're in. Thank you so much, Sniper. You're in I'm guessing a mumble chat or a TeamSpeak. Is that correct?
No, it was just a typing, just chat box. There's no oral speaking or anything.
There was no. So you are not in a voice chat. I was under the impression. Wow. Okay. So you were in a typing chat, and what happens? What initiates this whole this whole thing?
Well, I was originally playing I was playing on the Steam platform with a buddy of mine, and we were just talking about games, and we switched over to RuneScape, and he told me to download a video game called Super Columbine Massacre RPG, and I pulled up in a new window. I Googled it. I did not like the look of it, so I told him, I said, no, man, that's not really my style of game. It was actually a big deal in the FBI's arguments back and forth about whether or not I downloaded this game, which I did not.
Oh, really?
And so that's how the argument started, but another player butted in on our conversation as we were discussing this messed up game, and he said, hey, man, don't talk about Columbine. That's crazy. Kids died or whatever. And, man, as I've repeated multiple times, I admit that I was drunk, and I was just in a trolling mood. I used to always like messing with people in that game, and so I sarcastically said, I said, man, I love Columbine. Why would I stop talking about it? On April 20th, 2013, I'm running up in Oxford High School, ha, 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 which, of course, transpired to be a Saturday and was 6 months away at that point in time.
Are you kidding me?
And it was just a one-off argument. I was just trying to piss the guy off, just kind of, everybody else was laughing. There were 40 people standing next to me, and everybody saying LOL and all that. And then this one guy clicked report. So 4 days later, the bomb squad, the SWAT team, the whole 9 yards.
So you're basically showing off in front of your friends, really, because somebody. And this is before we called SJWs. So you got an SJW in your chat. He's virtue signaling about talking about, and I'm assuming, RuneScape is a place where most of the games I play were curse and swear and even drinking. By the way, now you were underage by American standards at the time, but I got to be honest with you, when I was that age and younger, we used to drink and play Street Fighter, and I still drink and play video games to this day. I mean, that really wasn't a crime in itself. So
match made in heaven.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. We're on the same page, bro. So, did this guy give you any indication that he was going to take it to the next level? I mean, report just sends, right now, I would think you're just looking at getting kicked off of the game at this point.
Right.
So what happened? You got reported, and how did it go from there?
Well, he was taunting me about it, but I didn't think he was serious. He kept saying, "Say goodbye to your account, ha ha." And then the last thing he said to me was actually "knock knock," which is exactly what I heard on my door 4 days later. A big knock knock.
Really?
But I was unaware that the kid had actually reported me. I mean, whenever the FBI came to my house and started tearing it up, I did not even know why they were there initially. I had no idea.
You didn't make it. So you saw worst case scenario, you're losing your account. Or losing your characters.
When I woke up the next day, I had permanently lost my ability to speak on the game. And I've been playing that game for 11 years or something. I was pretty hot. No, not quite 11 at that.
Yeah.
For a long time. And so I thought that was my punishment. So I downloaded World of Warcraft, started playing that. My girlfriend was like, "Great, he switched one addiction for another on the video games."
Yeah, right.
And I got 4 days worth of WoW before the big boys came and got me. And I didn't see sunlight for another slightly over 5 years.
Okay, so I want you to talk about the day. What happened when you actually got the knock knock? You're playing WoW. Okay. Are you working? So you're 19 years old. You live with your parents. You mentioned you did have an alcohol substance abuse problem at that time. Were you aware of that, or you would just? I mean, God, I mean, you could. The way I drank when I was 19, you could easily put me in that category as well. Was it a real problem, or were you just doing what most American teenagers do at that age?
Nah, it was actually a problem, man. I went to rehab once when I was 17 already.
Oh, okay.
I've got a long history with it. I totally lose all control. That's actually the reason that I'm in recovery right now. The reason I'm sober today.
You have no business near a bottle, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, none at all.
So you probably didn't know that at the time. Yeah. Okay, I got you.
I mean, like I knew I was addicted, but I was unaware of how absurd I acted. When I was that drunk.
Were you a nasty drunk? Were you violent drunk?
Not particularly. I wouldn't think. I mean, in high school, I got in several high-profile fights or whatever. Oftentimes I was first, but normally it was premeditated. The fight was anyway. I mean, it's not like I would act out or anything. I always had my girlfriend with me when I was drunk, and it's not like I ever put my hands on her or anything.
Gotcha.
So I mean, I would say no. I wasn't a violent drunk. I was a jerk.
Just a jerk. Yeah.
I was completely insufferable and irritating and mean, but I wasn't just like fly off the handle and swing on somebody.
Oh, I got you. All right, I want to get this. I'm trying to paint a picture, so I'm not trying to. I'm definitely not trying to throw you under the bus, but I want to get that.
I'm not gonna sit here and act like I was a nice guy when I was drunk. The fact of the matter is that I am an alcoholic and I don't drink anymore, and I know that I act crazy. It's honesty,
I got you. All right. Couple days go by, you lost. I guess you're assuming you're going to get your account back. Knock knock. What is that day like? And exactly, can you go through what exactly happened?
All right. Well, my girlfriend and I were sitting on my bed at my mom's house where we had just moved back in because we got evicted, and I was playing World of Warcraft. She took her parents' car to go pick up her little sister from daycare, so she got in the car and she left. And then after about maybe 7-8 minutes after she left, more than 5, probably not quite 10, there was just this booming knock on the door. I mean, it sounded like somebody emptying a revolver, just boom, 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 boom.
Really?
So I set my laptop down on the bed. Yeah, I got up and I started walking towards the front door. My mom came down the stairs across from me like she was going to get the door, and I kind of waved her off. I was like, "No, it's cool, I got it." Because after the knock, I saw a flash past my window, like a body, I saw khaki sort of, and it flashed past my window, and I thought that my friends were maybe ding-dong ditching me because I hadn't left in several days at that point.
For my European fans, ding-dong ditch is when you hit a doorbell and just run away. It's a southern way of up north, we just say doing doorbells. That's ding-dong ditch, which is much funnier, actually.
Down here in the south, unfortunately.
So, all right, they bust through the door. What happens?
Oh, no, they were about 2 seconds from smoking it, but I opened it right in time. And when I opened it, there were probably, I'd say, up to maybe a dozen right there on the front porch, FBI agents with these massive guns. I mean, guns bigger than I've ever seen, all pointed straight at my head. And I vaguely heard my school resource officer was leading the pack, and I heard him say, "That's him." And then they simultaneously all barked different commands at me: get down, turn around, freeze, put your hands up. I tried to say, "What's going on?" but it just kind of came out like, "Whoa."
Yeah, you got a knee in your back.
So they spun me around and slapped the handcuffs on me, and they asked the typical cop question: "You got anything in your pocket just going to poke me or anything?" And then my mom was hollering, "Let him smoke a cigarette, let him put his shoes on." They never let me put my shoes on. I went through that whole 5 years without having a good pair of shoes, except for the the prison ordered ones. And so they spun me around, man. They clapped the handcuffs on me. They marched me down to the car. They were just tearing the house apart, man. I mean, totally devouring it. And this dude with this big chopper comes up to me. He says, "You know why we're here?" And I was like, I mean, I guess my neighbors smelled what I was doing this morning. And, they called the cops.
So you think it's just a weed?
Illicit porch that morning. So
I
was like, maybe they thought that I was growing it, and they called the cops.
So you're not thinking RuneScape at all at this point. It's like the furthest thing from your mind. The RuneScape is not even in your mind.
I had no idea, man. I didn't think that anything could be connected from there.
Yeah. This doesn't even.
I mean, like I've said, everybody says horrible stuff on there, but I mean,
right.
Guy, like I said. But anyways, yes. And then I said, I guess they smelled the stuff and they think that and he said, "No, man, it's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. You got anything in there we need to know about?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I got some of this by the TV and some illegal stuff." And he was like, "Oh, no, man, we're not talking about anything like that. We're talking about weapons. Any kind of weapons or anything dangerous." And I was like, "No, what? No, man.
Now you're a Southerner. You don't have a gun in this house. You have a BB gun in the house. Not even
a BB gun.
Not even a BB gun. That's tough to me believe, sir. From living down south, I lived in Georgia for a while.
I know. I'm like the only house in this state that didn't have a gun in it at the time. I'm pretty sure.
So
not only did we not have 7, we had 0.
All right. So they start looking. So after you tell the officer nothing of that nature, I have contraband, but I don't really have anything of that nature. Dangerous. What was his reaction?
Kind of like a little disbelieving, like a humph, kind of just like, we'll see.
Was swatting a thing at this time?
No, I had never heard of that at that time.
You never heard of that at that time? Because that's
never heard of swatting. I'd never heard the word selfie. I had nenever heard of Snapgram and InstaChat. No, there's a whole different era. I was unaware of swatting at that point.
Okay, that's about the time I think I learned of it. So yeah, the internet was about to change dramatically in the next coming years. All right. So they take your house apart. Were they interrogating you in the meantime, or were you just sitting there cuffed?
No, it was just an awkward silence.
Okay. Now, how long did it take for them to either move you out or clear the premises?
Personally, they took me away after, I guess it was maybe 20 minutes of just standing there in awkward silence.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could tell they were really, really fired up to go tear up the house. Man, we're gonna get this guy and stop him. And then they get there and there's nothing. You could feel that permeating the air, the sense of we may have overreacted.
Okay.
But they got tired of letting me just sit there watching it with handcuffs on, so they drove me to the federal interrogation building about a mile away from my house.
Okay.
And they pulled me out. And of course, man, I've kind of broken the habit to an extent now, but ever was I a troller and a button pusher and a tamperer. Whenever we got out at the federal building, the federal interrogation building, I had my cuffs on, and I was like, I'm just curious. I'm not going to do it, but I'm just wondering, if I struck out running, would you guys shoot me?
Now? Jesus, you were really a dopey kid.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, man, I'm a lot different now, man. It's obvious. I liked getting reactions out of people, man. I grew up watching Jackass and Family Guy, and I thought being offensive was very funny. So
it still is. I'm just not in this situation.
Kind of is. People getting their feelings over me doing little dumb stuff.
But you got to figure these guys are all, like you said, they're fired up. They're ready to go. This ain't a joke to them. I was in the military. They're not fooling around. Those guys, they didn't know if they were gonna get fired back on.
Right. Exactly. They got adrenaline going.
It does amaze me that they didn't check into anything, if there's any gun owners in the house or anything like that. Just basically was this an anonymous tip in the internet? Or did this person give their name?
Well, the kid that I got in the argument with on RuneScape reported me to Jagex, and then he also Googled the name of the school that I said and what town it was in. And also I said my last name. This is how drunk I was being, by the way. I plan on releasing the transcripts in about a week or two so I can make my scanner work. Mm-hmm. I said, look for the last name Pillault. So the dude typed in Pillault, Oxford, found me, and taking the trolling to the new level, he called the school and said that he thought that there was a threat against it.
Really?
So I have his name, like his full name, his RuneScape name and all that. It's in my discovery. I couldn't care less. People have asked for it. I'm not going to do that.
No, I'm
99% sure he was 14. I don't have any problem with him taking his trolling to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also, simultaneously as that was going on, the video game company Jagex that owns RuneScape called the FBI, which also I'm not upset about in the slightest. People always ask me why I'm not mad at Jagex for reporting a threat against the school. Why the hell why the heck would I be mad at them for reporting a
No, they're doing
threat
their job.
against the school,
They're doing what they do. Are you a little surprised they didn't lose a little more judgment? But maybe, I don't know if they're like, it does seem that everybody is just overreact. Was there a recent school shooting around that time?
No, actually, believe it or not, no. The last thing that had happened major was the shooting and the Aurora Theater shooting.
Okay.
But 2 months after I got to jail, the Sandy Hook Newtown massacre happened, and that's about the time that I figured I was going to prison.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Yeah. So that I'm sure that did affect you. So you had the Colorado was the Batman shooting, if I'm not correct. That was the one in Colorado,
Right.
the Joker shooting.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you're in the FBI office. You're getting interrogated. I'm sure you're screaming for a lawyer, right?
Of course not.
Yeah.
I'm sure you already know. No, I did not ask for an attorney.
No, you did not ask for an attorney. And why didn't you ask for an attorney?
Because I was naive, man. I was green as summer's grass. I didn't know how it works. I mean, I naturally believed that when I tell these guys what happened, they're going to let me go because it's so explainable. And that's what they told me. They told me that, hey, you can technically ask for an attorney, but then you're just going to be here a few more hours. We're going to have to call him and get him up, and he's going to get dressed and come up here, and and then we're just going to sit here and do the same thing anyways. It's just going to take much more time. And man, I was 19 years old. I barely had any legal trouble in my life.
Mm.
The fact of the matter is that I was naive, man.
Yeah.
I believed them, and I was incorrect in doing so. I thought that innocent people don't go to prison. I thought that they can't send me away. Just like you and I were talking about David Eccles said, man.
David Eccles,
I wasn't
that's
scared.
exactly what he said.
I wasn't scared at all. They can't send me away for something I didn't do, or in my case wasn't going to do. I wasn't scared of them.
The references he's talking about is the West Memphis 3, which,
Certainly.
God, that wasn't too far from where you were, was it?
Not at all. About a little over an hour, maybe.
A little bit. Okay, the West Memphis 3, these guys are about my age. And they were convicted of a triple murder based on the testimony of a so-called a Satanism expert. They were known here. They couldn't put him at the scene at the crime. Anything. The bulk of the testimony came from a Satanism expert. They were clearly not guilty of the crime. I mean, the sheer fact that they would have been covered in blood, because I've seen the crime scene. It's just unbelievable. It's one of the worst crime scenes I've ever seen. I've seen a ton of them through reading about crime and things of that nature. And both these guys did just about 20 years in prison. They get out, if I'm not mistaken, just about the time you're going in. Is that right?
A couple months before. I think it was about a year before. I remember I was in high school when they got out.
Yes. Okay. So Damian Eccles. Also, with the donations, I did silence them because I want to, I don't want to make the same mistake I did with Scarce, by the way. But I will be reading the donations at the end, assuming they are Streamlabs donations. So if you guys want to keep coming. I will be going over them at the end. But sound effects have been taken off because I think this is a serious topic. All right. Yeah. Damian Eccles is getting out. You're going in. Do you think some of that sort of? It did seem back then that they wanted somebody real bad back. I mean, there's 3 dead kids. Is there a aggressiveness about Tennessee that maybe other states don't have in Europe when it comes to prosecuting somebody?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's possible. Me being a Mississippi man, I mean, I couldn't believe how great. I think it's a Southern thing in general, honestly.
It's a Southern thing in general.
Very, very much politically tough on crime, Oh,
you're not in Tennessee. I'm mistaken.
No, I'm in Mississippi.
You're in Mississippi.
I'm an hour away.
Oh, but so you're not far from the West Memphis, Tennessee, right?
Not at all. Hour away.
All right. I apologize for getting that wrong. That's why we're here. We're trying to get things straightened out. You're in the interrogation.
Still the South.
What are they asking you in the interrogation office?
Well, the very first thing, they got me in there, and I'm sitting there with my backwards hat on and my shoulder-length hair, looking like an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
And they click the lamp on and they swing it around in front of my face, and I'm sitting there scared. And also worth mentioning, there was a clock on the wall to my right at face level with a huge bead in the middle of it. Like, yeah, that's not a clock. I mean, not a video camera.
Yeah, right.
And, the camera at eye level. Wow. And so they clicked the light on and spin it around on me. There were 2 of them. Needless to say, they were playing the classic good cop, bad cop that I've seen in movies.
It works. And, that's why. It works tremendously, even to this day.
It definitely had me a little more intimidated than I might have been.
Yeah. Well, you're more likely to tell talk to the nice cop. I don't like this guy, but I'll tell you, and that's how they get you.
Yeah. See, at the very beginning of it, they were both playing nice cop, but I'll get to that in a second, I suppose.
Sure.
So they swung the lamp around on me just like they do in the movies. They clicked the light on. It's all making me squint and stuff, and they look me dead in the face, and they look at their paper, and they look at me, and they say, "Have you ever heard of a game called RuneScape?" Bruh, I put my head on the table with my hands cuffed behind my back. My head just sank to the table, and I said, "Man, are you guys talking about that stuff I said on the game a few days ago on RuneScape?"
Yeah.
And they were like, they go straight federal. They were like, "So you admit you said it? You were in control of the account?"
That's a lawyer right there.
That you said it. Was that a confession? You said it?
Lawyer. Lawyer. That's what you should have said right there. Lawyer.
I should have. Yeah, man. I just didn't know.
Nah, you didn't know.
I wish I would have.
You want to make you feel better? I'll tell you a story. I knew a guy. There was coke in the barracks, right? And I knew somebody was going to get caught. You know how they busted him? This guy, right? Coke goes in any system really quick. So the Sultra, that got picked up, got pissed, and he didn't piss hot, but he was doing coke, okay? But you know how they got him? They told him they were going to give him a lie detector test, so they better tell him the truth because he's going to take the lie detector test either way. Well, not under UCMJ in the military, the lie detector test is no more admissible than it is in any other courtroom in the Western world. He could have said, "I'll take the lie detector. You can stick the lie detector test up your ass," and it wouldn't have mattered. He rolled on everybody, and it was just because, and he was telling me, he's like, well, I was like, why did you, I even said, it was like, why did you tell? Well, they're going to give me a lie detector. And I was like, you don't have to take that. He's like, motherfucker, why did somebody tell me this shit? Yeah, and that was the end of his Army career.
I was about to say, damn, he brought other people with him when he went.
Everybody. And then they brought other people, including officers. It was all the way downhill.
It's not just criminals that do that, huh?
But you know what got me? It's because I was giving people advice like, look, just everybody shut up. And nobody did it. Nobody did it. This is why I don't believe in the JFK conspiracy, all right? Because nobody could ever keep their mouth shut long enough, much less an entire organization, Jeez. I mean, when I read about successful murders, we're going to get into this. You had a little bit of a crime pingent like I do. When I read about successful murders, people that get away with murder, they're usually done within families, and they're done, crime families, they're done to people that have no relation to the people that are doing the murdering, and that's how you get away with them. Yes, it's the easiest way to get rid of murder, unless you just walk up to somebody and kill somebody casually. But most of the time, when it's done through a friend or a family, it's the easiest to figure out because there's a trail and somebody's going to open their trap. So, I mean, it's just a good, it's good whether you're guilty or innocent. I'm not trying to teach anybody how to get away with murder here. What I'm trying to teach you is shut the fuck up. That's it. Shut up.
If one is dead.
You can't talk your way out of this stuff. You can't take your way out. So, all right, you're getting to the point now. Now I imagine you're arguing with these guys. Is that correct?
Not so much arguing, perhaps, as being defensive, or at least maybe just trying really hard to explain myself, because I could tell that with me talking about video games, may as well have been speaking absolute French to these guys.
There's another reason to get a lawyer.
I mean, they've just got nothing but kind of a stern glare. Their brow was set, furrowed, kind of glare looking at me, and I mean, when they asked me if I knew about the game, man, I just put my head on the table and said, "This is about RuneScape, man." They were like, "Oh, so you said it. You admit that you said it."
Yeah.
You said it? Yeah, you said it. And I was like, "Man, y'all know I said it, man. Y'all got me sitting in this chair with handcuffs on. I think I said my last name when I said it. Yeah, man, y'all know it was me that typed that." And they, blah, 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 blah. And they'd already explained to me that I didn't need an attorney if I was trying to get out of there faster, because I swear, man, what they told me word for word was they were just trying to get me home faster.
Yeah, I'm
sure.
They
had to check it out. It's part of their job. I understand that. I still understand that.
It's their job to put you in jail. It is their job to put you in jail. That's the way cops look at things. It's their job to put you in jail. Not protect. That's up to the court. This is a good lesson. This is what I'm glad you brought this up. It's the cop's job to put you in jail. It's the court's job to find you guilty or innocent. The cops don't care. It's their job. I don't blame them either. It's their job to put you in jail. They were given a task to put Josh in jail, not get to the bottom of it. They're not detectives. They're not there to get to the bottom. That's why you shut the fuck up. Shut up. Just shut up if you're ever in trouble. Especially if you're innocent. Especially if you're innocent.
See, that's the thing. I had that classic like CSI fear where like suddenly ask for attorney.
Oh yeah, you ask for the attorney, and then they make it seem it's what's funny. You bring that with CSI. Oh, I want to speak to attorney. We got him.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's like an admission of guilt. Thinking. It's not an admission of guilt.
Like they'll start explaining why they did the crime to him on CSI, and then
we want to plea.
I think I need to talk to an attorney.
Yeah, and nothing works like it does in CSI.
Yeah, I've learned slowly but surely.
All right. Do you go home that day? What happens?
No, I did not go home that day. It would be 1,795 more days until
you were never freed in between. You were
No.
locked up the entire time. So that day was the last day of your freedom. Up until
October 8th, 2012 until September 7th of 2017, I was incarcerated.
Into December 7th. So it took you about a year to get. So you're just coming back to the internet now. I mean, it took you about a year to get back to the internet, correct?
Yeah, I was either in a halfway house or on ankle bracelet or in rehab the entire time since I've been out, pretty much.
Okay, gotcha.
And I wasn't allowed to use social media. I was only allowed to play RuneScape and comment YouTube. That was it.
You were allowed to play RuneScape.
Yeah, isn't that ironic? One of the few things I was allowed to do was play RuneScape.
Yeah, well, I
But
guess
at least I had to get that special permission for that, man. I can't just be sitting here not scaping. You know what I mean?
there's no guns or bombs. So and all this time, the let me make this abundantly clear. They do not find any weapons, any bomb paraphernalia. They find, I imagine, a little weed. They have they don't find any weapons whatsoever at all.
None at all.
Okay.
Nope.
When do you actually talk to a lawyer?
Let me think. I guess it'd be the next day at my, or 2 or 3 days later at my detention hearing, where they determine whether or not they're going to
Let you go, and they decided to keep
That
you.
was probably the first or second time that I talked to an attorney. I actually had 2 really good public defenders, and like they really, really, really wanted me to go to the Supreme Court with it and everything, man. Like they were fired up about it. They were like, "Man, these online threats got to stop." But things didn't work in my favor, and I ended up getting a different attorney that is still a good attorney. Don't get me wrong, but
what did he tell you? What did he say?
He interpreted the law differently, and as such, he was more realistic with me about what I could expect if I took him to trial, like I was planning to do.
So you wanted to go to trial right away, I imagine.
Yeah,
right?
I sat in jail for 9 months before I pled guilty because I was waiting to go to trial. They kept having to.
Were you offered
their own rules?
Were you offered a plea deal to get less time?
No, never.
Never offered a plea deal.
No.
Okay.
No, whenever I decided to plead guilty, we approached them, and I took the first offer, which is always a no-no.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. You always tell me. Yeah.
But again, I was naive.
You're back. Oh, yeah. I know. I mean, it's not. I imagine your family didn't have a lot of. Obviously, I was fortunate. My father, he went to law school for a little while. I learned all these things growing up. Don't talk to police. Blah blah blah. But if you have this attitude, and maybe your mother and your family members too, innocent kids don't go to jail. At worst, we're looking at some kind of terroristic threat. I think you're thinking fine at this point. Do you think you're going to do time? Did the
No.
Did the attorney
no.
say that you could possibly do time? What did he said you had to expect in the next coming months?
Well, after the interview was done, the initial interview, they turned the lamp. We're gonna have to take you to jail for a few days, and I was like, man, what? 3 days? I don't got 3 days. I had all the time to kill. I wasn't doing nothing, but they said 3 days, man. And then I was like, well, what's happening then? They said, 3 more days, and then you can go to a detention hearing, and a judge will determine whether or not you get bail. And so I was like, all right, I guess I can do that. 3 days later, they transferred me to Bolivar County, Mississippi for my detention hearing and sent me before the judge, magistrate judge. And boy, if those same cops and the prosecutors don't turn up screaming, don't let them go at the top of their lungs, the very dudes that just told me, 3 days, we'll figure it out, we'll get you bail. Then those same dudes turn up screaming, he's a maniac, don't let him go, he's crazy, he's a ticking time bomb.
Based on what?
I mean,
based on the guns they didn't find? Based on the guns they didn't find? Based on the bombs they didn't find? Based on what?
Based on me being a morbid interest guy saying something like that was all that they had.
You, like me, have, and I picked this. Me and my dad do this. I had books, stacks of books when I was a kid. Infamous Criminals. I have 2 copies. I still own 2 copies of Wise Guy, which is the book that came to for Goodfellas. I am constantly trolling true crime sites. I mean, this stuff like, what did they find on your computer that was so incriminating that would have given these dopes the impression, and they're probably not dopes, they probably did it to you on purpose, that you were some kind of danger? What was on there that they mentioned?
I had a folder called Serial Killers about the interest. As I've mentioned before, my entire family's got a big interest in serial killers. My mom studied them in college. My grandmother studied them in college. My aunt had a big interest in them when she was doing law school. It's just kind of running the family.
And so does a good portion of the country, because if you turn on friggin' any crime documentary in any primetime area, there's tons of them. They made a movie about the Zodiac killer. I mean, this is what I do in my spare time, still to this day. And I basically have had this habit since I was 11 years old.
Exactly,
I like true
I'm telling
crime.
you, the FBI thinks that's weird, man.
Really? Well, you just don't tell them. That's another thing. Don't tell them you have an interest in true crime. Yeah, the same thing that made you guys want to become FBI officers. Yeah, I have that too. Stupid.
I don't know what it was, man. But the only reason I had the serial killer stuff, by the way, I mean, yeah, I'm interested in it, but I was hanging out on a website that is notorious for not being a very friendly or good website. And
it's dark.
I would post on there, and I would do. Yeah, it's a very dark website.
Can you name the website?
4chan. Yeah. I'll throw it out there.
All right, you're on 4chan. Never a good idea, but okay. No, it's common now.
Yeah, I was a B. I was a bro, or one of the random guys that hangs out on B, the anonymous, and
yeah. So you're looking at a lot of, so you're not looking at the average stuff. You're looking at the stuff that's a little more creepy. But still, that does not make you a better. Thank you so much, Brace. I'll read all this stuff out later if you guys want to donate. So you are in you're doing a little more than me. You're not going to just crime websites. You're going to the 4chan route, which can be a lot more graphic, a lot more detailed. There's also a lot more bullshit.
Right.
You're kind of doing this not so much to study as much as to titillate yourself, I imagine, correct?
Well, a large part of it was just studying, but the main reason that I had those pictures saved on my computer was because I would open a 4chan thread and put my PayPal, and I would tell them to pick a killer 1 through 8, and then I would tell them a story about it and tell them the details of it, and post pictures from the crime scenes or the victim, the killer before they, got caught. Okay. And I would actually make decent money doing that, and I had a lot of support on 4chan for it, and people were always,
oh no kidding.
Really happy about them, and they thought it was interesting, and they'd send $50, $60 on my PayPal. I could make.
Oh, so you were like you were sort of doing what I was doing. You're an internet celebrity before there's a shit ton of internet celebrities in a sense. Or a performer. You're an internet performer in a sense, correct?
Right. My website was anonymous, needless to say. So I mean, I didn't have my name attached to it, but everybody knew who I was.
Yeah. Hey.
And yeah, that's the main reason that I had them saved, and also that ties back in started because the single most requested of all the killers on the little list of 8 that I was always Harrison Klebold from the Columbine Massacre.
Harrison Klebold.
That's why I had a subfolder inside of it that was specifically Columbine-related pictures.
I gotcha.
And that is actually why I had that argument with my friend on RuneScape in the first place, is because I met him on 4chan, and he was talking about the thread, and he said, yeah, if you're interested, go check out the game Columbine Massacre. I said, you're misinterpreting my interest if you think that this game is funny, because it's not funny. I don't like studying things because I find them funny or entertaining. It's just interesting to me. That's how the whole argument started. Oh, it's because of my 4chan threads, really.
Oh, really? Do you think this guy turned you in not just because of what you said, maybe joking around or even trolling him? Did maybe he had it in for you because you had these 4chan threads that contained you had crime scene photos, which can be very gory, I imagine, right? I mean,
occasionally.
If somebody walked up on this, your average person, and saw what was in these folders and didn't know exactly what you were doing, it could be quite frightening, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Oh, of course. And also, by the way, no, my friend's not the one that reported me. I have the reporter's name was the guy that I got in the argument with.
Okay. So do you know what happened to him?
I can certainly agree that if somebody were to walk up behind me while I had spooked out, it's pretty spooked.
Do you know what happened to him? You know what happened to him? Don't give his name out because we're live. But I mean,
no.
Do you know what happened to this guy?
No, I have no idea. I haven't talked to him since October 4th of 2012.
Has he ever reached? So he's probably, he's probably in his 20s now, right, or his late teens, right?
I would assume so, because I think that he was about 14 or 15 when that happened. So I would assume, yeah, he's probably 20, 21ish.
I'd have trouble sleeping at night. I'll tell you that. I don't know about him. Maybe he didn't.
I've always wondered, man, if he ever saw the stories about me and connected the two and realized that he was the one that.
I'm sure he did. I mean, if he knows about 4chan, he knows about your threads, he knows you're talking about this stuff, and you just gave him an opening to get.
Like, I'm not gonna.
I think he really can't. Look, I think it was really simple with this guy. You embarrassed him, and he paid you back.
Yeah, to an extent. He got me good though. He won.
I mean, I know, because I've kicked people out of my Discord for acting crazy, and they will go to the next level. They will do anything, try to dox, try to do absolutely anything to thank you, Fang Sanchez, to the next level. It's just all you got to do is cut them off or embarrass. Because I mean, a lot of my show is just dressing people down, on callers and stuff like that. And sometimes I will dress you down. It's part of the entertainment. And being in the military, I learned how to be an expert at it. But I notice when you do this, especially online, these guys. It does send them because there could be no physical confrontation online. That this is how people fight nowadays. They SWAT each other. They go the next route. All right. So they're saying the stuff on your computer, you got to stay. All your good cops. Now, what does your lawyer tell you? What are your chances? What is he telling you? Is he telling you what to do, say, or what not to say at this stage?
Yeah, that was when I very first got my first public defender, who had the name of a legendary sci-fi celebrity. So I thought, cool. I was like, this is a divine intervention. It saves my life.
Yeah, do me a favor. Do me a favor. I'm having a little trouble with your connection. You're on a PC, correct? And you got Discord open?
Yes.
All right, click on that little rotary wheel. It says user settings. Open that up because you're getting cut off a lot.
Settings.
Go to voice and video.
Okay.
And say automatically determine input sensitivity. Turn that off.
Okay.
And then pull it all the way to the left.
To the left, all the way down?
All the way to the left. Just leave it wide open. Yeah, turn it off and leave it wide open. That way you won't get caught off. Yeah, you sound good now. All right, now tell your story, sir.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Wait, now how do I save? Oh, God.
You don't have to save. Just hit X. Just get out of there. Save
automatically. I'm getting used to all this.
Don't even sweat it. Don't even sweat it. We'll get you back. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay, what was I saying? Oh, the lawyers, what were they telling me? Yeah, my first two public defenders, man, they were pretty fired up, and they were being really realistic with me. And they said, listen, man, you're about to have to sit down for a few months. There's, but we want to take this to trial. We'll take it to the Supreme Court if we have to. And you might be sitting here for a little while, but man, we kind of want to make an example out of you because this has been crazy. They pretty much laid out the line for me that online threats has been a really gray area for a long time now. And in a way, they almost wanted me to be the Mockingjay of sorts. They were like, look, this is going to suck. You're going to have to be sitting here for a while, but we can really turn this around and make sure this doesn't happen to anybody else. So if you can take one for the team and just ride it out and not plead guilty, we really want to take this to the Supreme Court. There's another Supreme Court case pending related to it, and we just
whoa. These are the people prosecuting you, talking you to?
No.
No, okay.
No. These are my public defenders.
Oh, okay.
Not the same person signing their checks, of course, but not the same person.
They're supposed to be separate. So you're being told to fight this, so stuff like this can't happen to you. So it's in your attorney's mind at this point. There's no way you're going to jail. Correct? Yeah,
that seemed to be what he was under the impression of. Yes, I gathered that.
Because they didn't find anything.
Right.
They didn't find anything. So are you like for this? Like, I'm up for the fight.
Oh yeah, I was. I knew I was gonna have to do a few months, which sounded absurd at the age of 19. Trust me, I had no idea what I was in for. But at the same time, he was like, not only will you beat it and get it completely off your record, but you can prevent this from happening to other people because this happens all the time. And then needless to say, 4 months later, the Justin Carter case happened, and that got a lot more publicity too, where he was arrested for the same thing as me. I would also like to point out the fact that whenever I release the long version of the transcripts of what I said in a few weeks, I would like to point out the fact that I have undeniable evidence and hard copy proof that I said I was being sarcastic. I forgot to mention that, by the way.
Okay. You told them you were joking around within this transcript. You
in
said
the game.
Okay. I just want to, all right.
As soon as I said it, yes, I told somebody that it was called sarcasm. I said,
and another thing is, one thing I like about you, Josh, I mean, you've said it in your videos, not so much here, but I just wanted to get this clear. Josh knows he did something wrong. Josh knows he screwed up. Josh doesn't even think he's innocent. He's not saying he's innocent of not saying these things. The issue is, what is the normal sentence for somebody who does what you do in most of these situations?
Certainly.
What is the
guideline range?
Guideline range, exactly.
Yeah, the federal government, for federal crimes, every crime has a point system. You can get enhancements for it. You get points taken off for pleading guilty and stuff like that. You get a lot of points taken off if you cooperate, if you're one of those guys. But my guideline range with a 6-point enhancement for proof of evidence of proof of intention to carry out the threat, which I got that 6-point enhancement, believe it or not. With a 6-point enhancement, my guideline range was 18 to 24 months.
18 to 24 months. And you were sentenced, and you were sentenced to
72 months, 6 years.
And you did.
Triple.
And you did.
I served 5 of the 6. Yeah.
So you did. You did damn near triple too.
Oh yeah. I did 2.5 times what my maximum sentence was supposed to be. I mean, like if I got my maximum sentence, including good time, I did about 3 times what I was supposed to serve.
All right, let's talk about your conviction.
Exactly.
Let's talk about your conviction. Now you go to court. I imagine you're still pretty sure that, with the exception of what happened in Connecticut, you're still pretty sure you're going to get off at this point, or when you're going to trial. How are you feeling? How is this trial going? And what was the evidence that was used against you?
The evidence used against me includes what is currently somewhat of a touchy subject. I just ask everybody to stay tuned, and that would be the testimony of the ex-girlfriend.
Okay. Before we go there, that's number one. What did the ex-girlfriends testify to?
One of them stated that Tanner McKay, that's my boy. One of them stated that I crafted Molotov cocktails for practice. One of them said that I had built a pipe bomb out of a 2 foot long copper tube, and both of them said that I had been interested in or obsessed with the massacre for a long time, and that I had spoken while I was sober about doing such a thing. The
Columbine massacre.
Right. Yes.
Okay, and none of that is true. You're saying that you're saying that they lied in court, correct?
The only part that I think could be, I think the word obsession is a bit strong.
Sure.
But an interest in killers is accurate. A focus on the Columbine massacre is not particularly accurate, though. But no, sir, the rest of that is complete and utter nonsense.
It's utter nonsense. I know that you have to be careful in this particular area, so you just say no or anything. Did you have problems with those girls at any time? Did you have hard breakups? Did you?
Yes.
Why do you think they testified that way against you?
I'm sure it was easy because of the fact that I was a terrible boyfriend. I was faithful, but just emotionally manipulative. I was not a very nice guy. I was very dramatic at that time, and I was an alcoholic and having a very severe drinking problem. I just wasn't living right, and I did say a lot of things that I regret to those girls and act in a certain way. I never put my hands on a woman or anything like that. Sure. I never got to that stage.
So you were a teenage asshole, is what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that it made it a lot easier for them to formulate those things. But there is another element to the story that I'm not able to disclose yet.
Gotcha. But you stop me at any time. You stop me at
all I can say is there was a very good reason that they did why they did, and I would like for everybody to stay tuned.
Okay. Well, believe me, we'll keep them updated over here. I promise you.
And also, anybody who doubts it about me, I will happily stay in touch with them until this goes public, and then I expect an apology. And if it doesn't, I'll apologize to them. Give me a chance, people.
Gotcha. I gotcha. All right. What is your reaction when these girls testify against you? Are you just thinking it's just because you're a dick? Maybe you called them a bitch one time. You got drunk and acted like a jerk. When you're hearing this stuff coming out of their mouth.
I partially felt as though it was just kind of, reap what you sow, kind of karma catching up with me a little bit,
So you're in the guilt stage at that point.
Yeah, I'm not mad at them. I was never mad at them, man. But also in the back of my mind, I had a really, really really heavy gut feeling, a severe intuition that there was something bigger going on while they would do that to me. Mm-hmm. And it would transpire that my gut feeling was indeed correct about why. But as I said, that goes into the currently uncharted territory right now.
Gotcha.
Right. I can say this much legally.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot confirm or deny, but I am of the understanding that they were coerced by the FBI.
It's a pretty serious accusation, but you're not making the accusation. That's what you've been told, correct?
No. I've been told. I'm under the understanding it may not be correct. I'm not saying that it is. But from what I understand, they had some legal issues, perhaps.
Well, let me tell you why I find that believable on the surface for somebody who didn't know the case to begin with. It's just the fact that you didn't have any guns. If you didn't have any guns, Absolutely. And you didn't have any bombs, and you didn't have, where did you find time to make the pipe bomb? Now, that doesn't vindicate you, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense that you would have nothing. Now, you said you moved. Did they check your former residence as well, and did they find anything incriminating there?
No, sir. But
so let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. Absolutely no physical evidence of any kind of weaponry or explosives was introduced in this trial. Is that correct?
Absolutely, 100% dead correct. Yes.
And you were given triple the amount of recommended time. I know It's a little more complicated. You have a point system and stuff like that, but you were given triple the amount of recommended time. Is that correct?
Yes. with absolutely not a grain of physical evidence. I promise.
With a
you,
grain
not
of
journal
physical
drawing.
so,
I didn't even have a job. I didn't have $1 to spend on a pipe bomb.
Yeah, I got it. So you're just out of high school. You're I mean, somebody wrote you were a teenage dirtbag. By the way, I was a teenage dirtbag at 19. Yep. I'm not insulting you. It's pot kettle black in this situation.
Not at all.
So you live with your parents. High school's going. You're not going to college. You're fucking off on the internet, and this happens. What were some of the other evidence introduced?
Other than the testimony of the girlfriends, I would say that there are 2 pieces of evidence that were considered to be significant.
Okay.
The first would be the contents of my computer, which was the serial killer folder. And I can say the name here. I didn't say it in my YouTube video personally, but I mean, I had the Jolly Rogers cookbook, is what I'm sure people have heard.
Oh God, I had that when I was a kid too. It was the Anarchist Cookbook, the Jolly Roger. For you,
it's just about the same thing.
The Jolly Roger cookbook, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. This is something that floated around when I was in high school as well. It's also called the Anarchist Cookbook. If I'm not mistaken, it was made by a far American leftist, maybe somebody with the Weather Underground, if I'm not mistaken, in the late '60s, and it was basically a guidebook for left-wing terrorists. There's a lot of interesting things in there, like how to make weed and how to make a pipe bomb and stuff like that. This thing's all over.
I didn't even know that backstory. That's interesting.
I think I'm a little soft on that one. I don't know, but I think it initially the Jolly Roger, which spawned a bunch of other copycats. If I'm not mistaken, it was made by a sort of somebody saw themselves as an American left-wing revolutionary in the '60s. It's if I'm wrong, I'll
like Earth Liberation Front.
Yeah, like the Syrian Liberation Front. Yeah, something like that. And if I'm not mistaken, he renounced the book. But the book's all over the place.
Interesting.
And it is.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere.
You know, we had the Satanic Bible when I was a kid by Anton LaVey, and like
Sandra LaVey.
Yeah, there's the Anarchist Cookbook. There's a bunch of revisions. There's also there's a book out there called Hitman. It's not very big, but it's let's see if I could do a search on this one. I don't know if you found this one. Hitman, a book. I think this is Hitman, a technical manual for independent contractors. This is one that gets a lot of attention as well. I've read this. It's from what I understand, most of the stuff is utter BS. To be completely honest with you, there's a Jolly Roger cookbook. So all right. So that was considered significant that you had access to this book. And let me be abundantly clear. This is me and him are 20. I'm 20 years his senior. This is the same crap that's going on in the 80s and 90s. Nobody did shit. We just look, oh, fucking cool, badass. You know?
Yeah, like it's like cool in theory. You don't have to practice.
Yeah, exactly. You just look what I have. You know, I mean, nobody's seriously doing it. All right, and so is there any other evidence besides the testimony, besides the transcripts, and besides the fact that you had the Jolly Roger or the Anarchist Cookbook, as it's otherwise known? Did you have anything? Is anything else?
There's one more. There's one more, and I have forgotten so far to publicly mention it because it's relatively not as serious or as publicized as the other evidence is. But all right, here it goes. I'm gonna have to put this in my next FAQ video now.
Okay, go ahead.
When I was in jail, man, as I'm sure people have picked up on, I really enjoy music. I play lots of different styles of music. I play a lot of different instruments. I went through a phase when I was about 17 to 19-ish, where I was really, really into rap, and I've always been a big fan of Eminem. Yeah, everybody's gonna laugh at me, man.
All right.
So I got really into it, man, and so I started writing all these raps. Whenever I got to jail, everybody enjoyed them, and they said they were really good. And so dudes would come up and be like, "Hey, man, my homie just got here. Here's a Snickers. Hit that song you wrote for him so we can hear it." And they'd all be like, "Look at this little skinny white dude out here talking about Eminem type stuff, you know, doing all this crazy violent rap and all that." And now, needless to say, so I was writing those down in a notebook. I had chord progression diagrams. I had regular rock lyrics that I was working on. Mm-hmm. Man, I had all kinds of songs and music stuff in there. A pedophile, yes, I said a pedophile, in the pod next to me in jail caught wind that I was rapping and writing my raps down to this thing, and he went and snitched on me. And
so you get less time. You can't talk to anybody when you're in there. You don't tell them you do.
Oh, I didn't even talk to him. He just heard through the grapevine. And here's the crazy part, man. This is the crazy part, and this is confirmed. This isn't me telling you what I'm guessing here, everybody. I'm telling you what I know. They gave this child molester a time cut for telling them that I was writing violent raps.
Sure. He'd been there before.
Yeah.
He knows how to do it.
They gave him time off of his sentence, and they came and they took away all my notebooks and tore up my cell and took all my writings and notebooks and used them against me. And they referred to them as personal notes and drawings.
You got railroaded, bro.
One of the only rappers that I listened to whenever I was growing up was Eminem. So you can probably guess about what the style of the writing was.
Yeah, I think we can all grasp it.
It was very, very much violent and goofy and cartoonish. And I mean, they just took it point blank. They misquoted it intentionally. They read it out loud incorrectly to make it worse at my sentencing hearing.
What would they do? Would they read it out loud incorrectly and say, "Oh, excuse me, I mean it said this"? That old trick.
Yes, I tried correcting, and at one point I kind of sort of lost my temper, and I don't think it got me very many points in the judge's eyes because, I mean, this dude was – I had a song that was violent, had some inappropriate things in it, but he read it and made it a lot worse. He read it in a sense, and he replaced words that made it sound as though I was engaging in school violence. I got you.
So they're really trying to paint you as Dylan Klebold here, or a potential. They're stopping Dylan Klebold. They have stopped – a massacre. And then keep in mind, you're 19. You're not even going to high school at this point, correct?
Nope. Up until the Newtown massacre, I had never heard of a person shooting a school that they did not attend.
Yeah, that's just what happened.
I didn't even go to that school.
And we just had one recently. It happened down in Arizona, and that guy had not been going to the school anymore. So you would actually have to be going to the school that you once attended to get back at all the bullies, I suppose.
Right.
Really. All right, you get this testimony. You get this testimony against you. Coming to, you're getting close to conviction time. What are they telling you? Are you getting off, or do you think it's over?
As we get closer and closer, after I pled guilty, I subjected myself to I allowed myself to undergo another mental evaluation, the federal one, where I was transferred to the Federal Correctional Institute of Butner, North Carolina, for a 90-day mental evaluation, which was extremely intense, testing like every day. Going through the DSM manuals, IQ tests, and personality tests, and dangerousness assessment, all that. And so when I got back, shortly thereafter, we got the results. And the ultimate finding of Dr. Ross's study was she said that if I'm actively abusing substances such as alcohol, that I'm at a moderate to high risk of engaging in violence in the future. Yeah. Now listen. Directly after that sentence, both out loud because she was subpoenaed to court for my sentencing hearing and also on the paper, she said, I am not referring to school violence specifically, but rather a violent act such as a fist fight or a public altercation.
Which is probably true. That's probably true, but that's all.
Literally, her ultimate finding was that if I get drunk, I might get in a fight one day.
Yeah,
I mean, it's as simple as that.
Like everybody else.
Her testimony about me was awesome, man. She got on the stand. They subpoenaed her, and she gave a wonderful testimony. She said that I was kind-hearted and that I helped all the lower functioning people in the unit. She said that her words were that I was a model inmate. I wasn't telling anybody in there. I wasn't causing any drama. I wasn't trying to, rile anybody up. I was on a mental ward, dude. There were completely insane people, utterly detached from reality around me on all sides. And some of them couldn't read, so I'd help them email their families or dial the phone, or, if they don't make commissary, and I do, I'll give them a couple snacks, just little stuff like that. I mean, she talked about all that. I didn't know I was being monitored that heavily.
Michael Francis is a famous New York gangster, and his father, Sonny Francis, who's 101 and still alive, said to him, "Here's what you got to know about jail. You say, please, thank you, and excuse me. That's how you handle yourself in jail for anybody. That's a pretty good description, in my opinion. That's the way. That's the way you do it. But it didn't even pay off for you, unusually, and I think in most cases it might have.
It's all about the respect.
This does sound like a railroad. Okay, you get convicted.
I pled guilty. Yeah.
Oh, you ended up pleading guilty, hoping they'd only give you a year.
9 months after I got to jail. Yeah, the day before jury deliberations.
Here's what I don't understand. If the lawyers wanted to fight this, they wanted you. So the idea was to plead guilty so you could appeal it, correct?
No. I forgot to mention. You remember I said that pedophile told on me for rapping? He had the same public defenders that I did originally. So since he had them first and he was trying to snitch on me, there was a conflict of interest between the attorneys, and they had to file me to get a different attorney. Yeah. So the first 2 public defenders I had were no longer my attorneys.
So those guys are like pros, and now you got some dope. So now you get a public. Oh God.
Right. I went from what is a public defender to what is technically now a court-appointed attorney. Same thing, different term. Yeah, so the ones that wanted to go to the Supreme Court, they lost the right to represent me, and then I got my next attorney.
Why didn't they? Why did they have the right to? Why did it go? Why did it go your way? I don't understand. Why wouldn't it go? Like they could represent him and not you. Why would it have to be you and not him?
They were assigned to his case before mine.
You're the luckiest guy in the whole fucking world.
Yeah, isn't that great how this all fell out? How it all just unfolded exactly right for me to go away for that long. It's great.
It's fun. It's surprising me the judge that wanted to see you go that way that long. It almost everything here feels personal from the outset. Man, I'm telling you, I'm not big on conspiracy theory type things, man. But yeah, it's honest. I can say. I think it's obvious they didn't like you. I think it's obvious.
The judge clearly didn't like me. It was very, very clear he didn't like me.
Yeah, you probably gave a vibe off of wise ass teenager that's not taking this seriously.
Yeah, see, that's the problem, man. You just nailed it on the head. I wasn't really taking it seriously. I actually got called to the stand at the end of the sentencing hearing after my girlfriend's testimony and a cop's testimony and the doctor. And I got up there, and I have to be honest, man. Yeah, I wasn't taking it as seriously as I should have, man. I probably had a little sarcastic smirk. I've always been a pretty sarcastic guy and a button pusher. I mean, I'm not so much anymore, man. But like I said, when I was younger, I was. And I got up there with my hair 3 inches longer than it is now, falling all down on my face. My arms crossed and probably a smirk on my face, man. I was thinking I was untouchable because the way I was thinking was
Damien Eccles. You sound like the way that's the way Damien Eccles behaved.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Like, I didn't murder anybody. You can't put me in the scene.
When you think you're not in the wrong, why would I be up there crying? Is the way I was looking at it. Like, I'm going to hold my head up high no matter what. But that mindset stemmed from me thinking I've been locked up 17 months. My guideline maximum is 24. The worst he can do is give me another 7. Bring it on, baby. I'll hold my head up high for another 7 months. I'm not going to get up here and start crying. Boy, if I'd have known he was going to give me that 6, you better believe I'd have been up there weeping and ugly crying and had the tissues out. Man, if I'd have known I was about to go away for that long, oh yeah, I'd have been up there boo-hooing and I'm sorry and it'll never happen again, sir. And take my firstborn, man, it would have been on if I'd known what I was going to do.
I like that.
But I thought he couldn't touch me, man. I was arrogant, man. I thought he couldn't touch me.
He reached out and touched you. Absolutely. Unbelievable.
Man, that boy hit me with that gavel right in the dead center of the forehead, dropped me down for 5.
I don't know how he sleeps at night. I don't know how he sleeps at night. He sounds like a cold motherfucker, if you ask me.
That's exactly how he sleeps. Cold heart. What's the problem?
Cold. So you ended up pleading guilty, and they hit you. Now, that was sentencing and conviction same day, or was it?
Oh no, I pled guilty, and I think it was June of 2013. Went to the mental evaluation from September to December of 2013, and then I didn't get sentenced until March 3rd of 2014. So I mean, there was a good 10 months between when I pled guilty and when I actually got sentenced.
When you heard 6, what happened to you? Well, what was going through
my entire head went completely numb, and I lost the feeling in my mouth, like my tongue went cold. I guess it's your blood running cold, like it's like the icy fingers of disbelief gripping your spine, man. I mean, like after that, everything's kind of fuzzy for a minute.
Did the judge lecture?
That sounds really dramatic because I didn't do a life sentence, man. But
I'm sorry.
I got locked up at 19. I was 21 at that time, and he just told me that I was basically, by the time I got out, I'd done over 1/5 of my life in one sitting.
He told you that. Did he lecture you at all? Did he just give you the sentence and move it on, or did he tell you why he was doing this, and did he give you the whole lecture?
I wouldn't call it a lecture. I'd call it more of an ass chewing, personally, is what I would refer to it as.
What do you remember? I'm sure you remember it. I mean, can you want to go over it a little bit?
Yeah, let me think here.
Sure.
Okay, so like I said, I got on the stand. I was having quite an air of arrogance up until a certain extent.
That's another thing. Your lawyer should have never let you on the stand, and they should have been able to read that you weren't capable of being on the stand. You never should have stepped on the stand. Hell, I'm not a lawyer. I would have known that. But go ahead.
See, the thing about it is that I was the only one who could offer the correct perspective on it, So I guess he was hoping, because nobody else that got up there knew jack about video games or the culture.
Yeah.
And he wanted me to explain a few terms such as trolling and stuff like that. And it could have been beneficial if I would have been, subservient. If I would have gotten up there with my head bowed and I'm sorry, but
haircut,
I was 21, man.
Yeah, I got you. And you're not growing up because you're in the facility. You're not getting any life experience. You're just you're kind of trapped in that sort of 19-year-old high school mentality. Because it sounds like
so much of me feels flash frozen at 19. It's not even funny, man. Yeah, so much of me.
I can imagine.
I mean, I got out of prison and I'm sitting here like looking up my ex-girlfriends on Facebook, not the ones that testified against me, needless to say.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, I know.
you know, like, oh, I wonder what they're doing nowadays. And they're married and they got
The
3
kids.
kids and, you know, moved away to the other side of the world.
You missed a big part. But I mean, you still got a lot to go. I know it's easy for me to say. I mean, there is plenty of time to still do big things.
Yeah, me being 25 now, man, if I wouldn't have gone to prison, I would be feeling kind of old right now. But trust me, there were dudes in there that would murder me to get out of prison at 25.
Yeah, gotcha. No kidding. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, your life is not ruined, but it definitely was a huge setback. I don't want to minimize it at the same time.
A lot better when I get this conviction off my record.
Yeah, and that's it. So, first day in prison, what's that like?
Well, I mean, are we talking jail or prison here?
Well, I'm talking about when you know. I guess
jail.
I would say after the conviction, when you know this is where you're staying.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, well, after I got sentenced, man. It took about a month after that. April 11th, a little over a month. I left in transit on my way to prison. It took a month and a half to get there. I was at a transfer facility for a month and a half. And in my first prison that I actually served time at was Talladega, Alabama, Federal Correctional Institute, FCI, Talladega, Alabama. And well, I got there, man, and I was just again really green, man. I was pretty used to jail at that point, but jail and prison are a lot different.
Gotcha.
So there's a several hour long intake process when you get to a prison where they're giving you your uniforms, you know, and telling you how the place works. You got to talk to a psych and tell them if you're hearing voices and stuff, and do all these check-ins, SIS, the gang people, to make sure there's not gang, you know, try to keep a check on the gangs in prison. Well, you got to talk to SIS at one point. They asked if I was in a gang. I said no. They asked if I was identified as a supremacist. I said no. They asked if I would be okay with having cellmates that were not my race. And I said, yeah, of course. I don't care. You know, I get along with whoever. That's fine.
Probably safe.
So I get to the unit.
Let me be honest with you. Was that a mistake? Was that a mistake? I mean,
yeah, that was a big mistake.
I want to be clear that he's not being racist. And, you know, I grew up with black guys that went to jail. They would have told you that was a mistake. But, you know.
See, the thing about it is that I found, at least at the medium high security prisons that I was at, is that with you know the black guys in the black car, they're allowed to have white cellmates, but it doesn't work the other way. White guys are not allowed to have black cellmates or cell in a cell with black guys.
Why is that?
I didn't know that.
Oh, okay. So
well, to be honest with you, supremacists have a favorite key term, and I'm not trying to offend anybody. It's just not me. They call you a race traitor.
Oh, okay.
Or they'll call you like.
So basically, by you doing this, by you saying what you said, you leave yourself open to be a victim of black thugs, and also have already pissed off the white thugs that are supremacists by that phrase alone.
Right. Exactly.
Correct? All right, I just want to make that 100% clear.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. You know, this part of the podcast is going to get racial, more than likely. And
it's the reality of the situation.
This is reality. This is not your fucking SJW, a perfect fucking world in college. No, this is federal prison. And the rules of the, you know, what you want the world to be, or you think the way people should behave, is just not the reality. There's a lot of racism in prison, and it goes on all friggin' ends. And sometimes the only protection you got would be based on the color of your skin, and that goes for everybody. So
definitely.
All right. So what happens after that?
Well, so I get to the unit, to the cell block. I was in Delta A. They named them Delta Sigma, you know, after stuff like that, and what would be Roman letters or whatever, Greek. Anyways, so I get there. I walk in. I got my little laundry bag over my shoulder with all my stuff. I've got my glasses hidden very deeply in the bottom of my bag, and my eyes wide open. And I walk in. They told me I was going to room cell C7. So I walk in. And, there's a dude sitting there, a really cool black dude that I got to be really good friends with. They called him Mark Dog. He's sitting there doing laundry in a mop bucket, sitting there watching TV. Yeah. And I was like, he said, "Hey, homie, where they put you at?" You know, he's got a good winning smile. Let me tell you, the charisma of some of these criminals, you would be amazed.
No, they're sociopaths. There's tons of them in there. It doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I mean, they're convicts, dude. Slick. I mean, slick, smooth as
smart.
silk.
Yeah.
And but this dude has some charisma about him. He's a good guy, and he was sitting there washing laundry in a mop bucket, which, looking back, is interesting to me that it didn't strike me as odd. I was that institutionalized already.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, man, where'd they tell you they put you at?" And I said, "Cell C7." And the dude just died out laughing, man. He just burst into laughter. So I said, "All right, that's going to be 2 big, giant black dudes that are probably affiliated with this guy." I was correct. they were very, very cool, and I liked them a lot.
So you got lucky right off the bat. So you ran into some cool black guys, is what you're saying.
Oh, dude, I absolutely loved my cellies, man. I was in there for one night, and the next day I was sitting in the cell by myself, and two white dudes came in there with their heads shaved and prominent swastikas tattooed on their arms and necks, and they were like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And they said, "Good to meet you." You know, they shook my hand and all that, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'm telling you, you have no idea how far being white goes with white people in there. The supremacists, man, I mean, they'll just like give you the benefit of the doubt. They'll give you just about anything off the rip as long as they know you're not a sex offender and you're a white guy. You know?
Yeah.
And so I get to talking with them for a minute, man, and they said, "Well, hey, man, what you doing in here with these blanks?"
Yeah,
slur. And I said, "Oh, man, it's Will and Corey, man. You know, they're cool, man. I've been digging it, you know, kicking it with them. They're really cool dudes." And they're like, "Man, you're gonna have to get out of here."
Yeah.
I was like, I got to move out of the cell. And they were like, "Listen, man, we know you're green here, man. We know you're new, and this is your first time in prison, man. We're gonna let you make it, man. But you're not allowed to sell outside of your race if you're a white dude, man. You can't sell. You can sell with natives, and sometimes you can sell with Mexicans, but you cannot sell with blacks." And I was like, okay. So really, what I'm sitting there is thinking is like, I mean, are they gonna fight me about it? You know, I mean, like I said, I'd gotten quite a few fights in high school. You have to in jail. I mean, it's not like I was scared of it at this point, but I'm sitting there thinking, I was like, okay, I don't know prison well enough to know if this is disrespect or not. It's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, right.
And they said, "Nah, listen, man, it ain't like that. We know we're not trying to get you to join us or nothing, man. We don't need you in a gang or nothing like that. But the way that this cell block is, man, we don't do that." So they put me in. They arranged for me to join a cell with what we call the world's biggest Mexican. He was a piece of garbage. He was 6'6". He weighed about 700 pounds. Let me tell you, man, this dude was a rat and just a piece of trash all the way around. And also there was a Puerto Rican in the cell with me who ended up checking in, which means entering protective custody because he had a lot of drug debts.
Okay.
So moved me out of a cell with two stand-up, cool black guys that did all their time with no problems and didn't know nobody nothing. Moved me out of there into a cell with two completely screwed up guys. I don't know, man. I mean,
so let me get this straight. Like when those guys said we don't do that, you took that as a threat, and did you ask for the cell request after that, or it just happened?
No, I kind of was just like, "What do you have in mind, you know? And can I stay here?" And they also explained to me that I was not going to be in danger of violent repercussion if I stayed in that room. That's not what was going on because I was not in a gang. They didn't have that right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They weren't in charge of me. But what they were saying was basically that if I stayed in there, then absolutely no white guys were going to help me in any way or talk to me. You know, there's going to be a lot of tension, and I never wanted any tension on any side.
Sure.
I don't want tension with blacks, whites, Mexicans, Asians, anything. You know, I went through my entire prison bit, man. I never had a fight with a cellmate, nothing, man. I've always been one thing, as much of an asshole as I was when I was younger, man. I've always been pretty good at getting along with anybody in a close quarter situation.
Sure.
So yeah, when they said "we," man, I knew there wasn't a threat behind it. They were just kind of saying like,
"Can you be that for if you're in a situation like this, like you're facing down two, white supremacists, two Nazis, and say, can you say, look, how do the rules work here? Is that how you talk to them? What's going to get my ass kicked? Can you be that upfront with them like that?"
I could have, but all that they would have told me is that they, since I wasn't in their gang, it wasn't their right to smash me, as that's called. That's called smashing, getting beat up when you're in prison, for specific purposes. What I ended up doing was I was what's called independent, which is a car. A car is basically a gang, but it's a gang of guys that say we're not in a gang.
I have been told, I'm familiar with that. I have been told the independents are probably mostly the victim, more often the victims of things like sexual assault and other types of crimes. Is that true for this particular prison?
It would be, were it not for the fact, independent people, yes, but this is an independent car. This is a collection of all the independent people together. Okay. And so there's a lot of strength in that. Believe it or not, the independent car was one of the bigger cars at the prison that I was at. So pretty much what you do is you have shot callers. I don't know if anybody's ever heard that term before. Shot callers, let's say that I'm in the Aryan Brotherhood. One of us is in charge. One of us is calling the shots. He's the shot caller. I can't go hit this guy without my shot caller's permission, and preferably that shot caller's permission, or else it's going to start a whole gang war and all that. It's all stupid in my opinion, man, but that's just the way it works.
It is what it is. Yeah. You couldn't say that when you're in there.
So, independent car. I go up to the guy who's considered to be the shot caller. I gave him my paperwork, which was my, my sentence and my charge title and my special conditions that showed that I wasn't a sex offender. And he was like, okay, you're cool. And if you need something, holler at us about it, And so that's something like hypothetically, let's say that hypothetically I wanted to, I don't know, I'm just using an example, buy some contraband.
Gotcha.
And the dude rips me off for a bunch of contraband, and he didn't give me, he shorted me like $100. The first thing that I would have to do is go talk to my shot caller and tell him what happened. And then he's going to go talk to that guy's shot caller and tell him what happened. And then they're going to determine whether or not we can fight or if there needs to be a gang involved punishment. So needless to say, I was not entirely down with all of that. I talked to the couple of guys in the independent car, and they also call them peons or neutrons, just guys that aren't in a gang, but they kind of take care of each other too,
Okay.
So I didn't take anything. People try to give you care packages, but there's strings all up in those. I mean, fish lines and fish hooks all the way through that. Like, hey man, you remember 3 weeks ago when I gave you that honey bun, man? I want 2 back now, or something like that. So many strings, and so I didn't take anything. And besides, I was blessed enough to be getting decent money from the streets. They didn't want to like beat me up for not moving, man. They were just letting me know that it was going to make it a lot harder for me in my sentence if I didn't just simply move to another room.
So how does this continue? I mean, how do the next 6 years of your life go?
Well, I spent
summarize
a little over 2 years at that
question.
prison.
Summarize the best you can, but go ahead.
17 months is what I started off with, county jail, before I got to prison, Talladega. And I did 26 months there, another month in transit, 13 months at Mariana, man. It all added up to 59 months total, transits and jails and prison, 3 months at North Carolina, Butner. Man, I went through some phases of, and it's going to sound totally bonkers, man, but I went through some phases of relative comfort.
Okay. You didn't have you had to deal with assault. You never got in a fight. You never got assaulted.
Oh yeah. I mean, I got in fights, man, but I never got stabbed or anything. I mean, you got to fight. There's no question about that. You have to. But if people think you're scared to fight, they'll try to take everything you got. They'll try to take your food. They'll try to take your mattress. What if you're 50 or 60? You're going in the first time. It's in or 50 maybe not so much, but in your 60s. What happens to those guys? Like guys that go in later in life. They generally show them respect, except for the real youngsters, like the guys that are the age that when I first came in.
Yeah.
They just call them old schools or pop or OG. They normally got some respect. They're not expected to have to fight and stuff unless somebody calls them out. Then,
what
if anybody ever calls you out?
Oh, really? You just got to.
Oh, you got to go.
What if you're like six? What if you're going in?
Hot words or go words?
What if you're going into Fed for the first time? You're 60 years old. This is the first time you've been in prison. Maybe you're like you got your suit and tie guy. What happens to them?
Well, generally they go to either low securities or camps, prisons, and those are ultimately laid back. I was in a medium high security, so it was quite a bit different. But the stereotypical, federal prison's so much better than state, that's because of the low securities in the camps, not necessarily the like where I was at and above security settings. But no, I mean, a 60-year-old guy going in for the first time, he's going to be fine. As long as if the opportunity arises where he is expected to fight, he has to. That's about it. The opportunity is going to come up a lot less at that age. Trust me.
No one's good because you're not going to look good beating you up anyway.
Right. I mean, you're not getting any points for that. And a lot of people, especially like the middle-aged guys or lower middle age, even in their 40s and stuff, will tell you like, man, that man's trying to do his time, man. Leave that man alone. He's staying out of the way. I mean, you can stay out of the way if you want to. I didn't get it in as many fights as a lot of people did.
Okay.
It's just certain things you have to fight. Certain things you have to, or you're going to ruin your entire sentence.
What's your day to day? You get up. What time? What do you do?
Personally, I got into a pretty good habit of reversing my days. I would stay up like super late at night, and then get up at about lunchtime. When the chow call.
You're allowed to do that? You don't have to get up at like 6 a.m. or anything? And
you're supposed to, but the block that I was in didn't really enforce it.
Okay. All right. So they just have to.
And also, might I also add that at the higher security designations in the prisons, you better be up when that door unlocks at 5:30 in the morning. They call it suited and booted. You got to be ready to go.
All right. So yeah, it's like in the army. So you have to do stuff. And what do? You just pass right back out in bed right after it was all done. You got, I guess they did accountability, and then you went right back to bed.
Sort of. At the one that I was at, weekends we had a 10 o'clock in the morning count. You had to stand up for that. You always had to stand up for the counts. Every day you got a 4 o'clock p.m. count. Pretty much to me, man, depending on what time of day I woke up, I would get up. I normally skip breakfast just because I'd like to sleep through it. I would normally get up around lunchtime. Like I said, I go to the chow hall. When you go to the chow hall, you can leave from chow and go straight to the rec yard. You can go through the turnstile. I would go out there and turn in my little prison ID to check out a guitar. I'd go find a little shady spot with my notebook and my pencil, and I'd start strumming guitar, and I'd sit there for 3.5 hours until it was time for the count. Go back, get locked in the room. Everybody in the prison gets locked down. They count our heads, count us like cattle. Then they unlock the door. I'd go to dinner. I'd go play guitar, man. We also had a movie room there, and I would go check out movies every now and then, sit at a little TV and put in headphones and watch it. But, I mean, you really, really get into your routine, man. That's what keeps people sane in there is having a routine and doing the same thing every day. And people get thrown off if you mess with their routine,
Yeah,
man.
you make it crazy. Yeah. All right. You thinking every night? You thinking of girls? You thinking of parents? I mean, I want to go to the emotional part of this, and I want to end it the day you get out.
Yeah, man. Sitting in that cell, man, with the doors locked at night, man, and just thinking about how many years I still had to do, which compared to a lot of people, man, it's not that bad, I know, but for me, it was pretty heavy. And yeah, man, I mean, I've said in my videos, man, I feel like you're going to go insane one way or the other. You can go insane in prison temporarily, either by getting involved in what's surrounding you or getting involved in what's going on in your head that's driving you crazy, you know. And let me tell you, man, I think I overturned every stone in my past and considered every possible way that I could have dodged coming where I came, and the mistakes that I made and the things that I said to people, man. And I would really start feeling a lot of guilt and shame for it, man. And it was just kind of driving me crazy. And it really fueled a lot of my best songs. I can say that much. I really, really learned how to use music as a catharsis in that case, man. But
nobody ever gave you a hard time about playing music? Nobody said, shut the fuck up, kick your back guitar, nothing like that? They kind of
No. We play out on the rec yard.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's optional. You can walk away from it. You know, you don't play in the cell or anything. And not to mention, one thing that I found out even during prison is that there's just a universal degree of respect that goes with practicing musicians. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
Just like the AB wants to hear a song, and so does the shot caller for the Crips. So now, I mean, everybody wants to hear a good guitar song, you know, or a good bass line. Everybody can respect a musician, it seems like. I never really knew that until I got there. But it's like if that's just your character, your persona, you're not one of those gang guys, you're the music guys. I mean, that's almost like a thing in prison, you know, like people don't go out of their way to mess with you. I mean, that man's just a musician. He ain't in a gang or nothing like that, man. He just wants to do his time and play his guitar, you know?
Okay.
I would definitely get emotionally distraught, man. There were times in my sentence where I was just like, man, I don't mean to sound morbid, bro, but I'm being real. There were times where I didn't know if I was going to make it or not, man. I didn't know if I cared enough to keep waiting to get out. I mean, I can never describe to you, man. I know it's not that long of a time, man, but I can never describe to you how certain I was that I was never going to get out.
Really? Did you think something was going to happen?
I just couldn't even accept it as a possibility. I could not picture the day that I walked out. I could not imagine it in my mind.
Let's get to that point. What happens in those last couple of weeks?
The last few weeks of my prison sentence, I was in the disciplinary bay, the special housing unit at Marianna, Florida, which is where I transferred to, which is a room about the size of a queen-size bed with a toilet and a bunk bed in it and a little tiny desk. And you got a cellmate, and you're stuck in there for 24 hours a day, except for 3 days a week. You get to shower for 10 minutes. So they call it solitary confinement, even though you have a cellie. I did my last few weeks there for doing something really ignorant on the prison yard. And then since I was so short, they told me they weren't going to put me back on the yard. They were just going to keep me in the hole. So I was
What did you do? What did you do? You can't. What did you do? I
didn't snitch. Is what I did. I mean, when I say I did something stupid, it would be stupid to the general public. But
no. Just explain it that way. You saw something and you didn't snitch. You can't snitch.
I was with a guy, a really good friend of mine, and I hope he's listening right now. Chris Knight did most of my tattoos. He had some illicit stuff. So he had some contraband.
He didn't snitch. I don't blame you.
And we were together, and it was in public. It was not in his pocket. It was laying out, and so that's considered an open area, and everybody gets punished. And he told him that it was his, but since they didn't like me very much, they weren't gonna let me off unless I specifically said it was his, not mine. And I didn't do that. So
you didn't do that. Good for you.
We got 100 series shots, maximum punishment.
I'm sorry. I think that's an honor code. There's an honor code, and another thing is a survival thing, and I don't think it could be held against you. I think that's
very interesting that you said that. It's a survival thing. You're absolutely correct. Yeah.
I knew enough guys who went to jail. I had a buddy of mine did pretty hard time for murder, and he actually
if I would have told them that was his stuff and he told somebody else I said that, I would have been in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, this is worth it. So
even whenever you talk to a CO by yourself, you need to bring a witness. You know, don't go over there by yourself talking to the CO.
No, that's same thing as there's a lot of military elements of this, at least basic training.
I was told that by the guys in federal prison now that did military time. Yeah, they said that there's a lot of similarities. You know, it's just kind of like the anti-version.
Yeah, it's like but they're trying to help you out over there. They're not really trying to help you out where you were. All right, so we're getting to the end, man. I mean, you're in the hole towards the end. That's a little weird, I imagine.
Yeah, I did. I think I finished 4 straight months. I did my last 4 months in the hole. I didn't have sunlight touch my skin for almost 5 months, none at all.
And this is the end. This is the end. This is not like you figured that would have been easier. This is the end. You're in the hole towards the end.
Yeah, I was in the hole at the end, man, and because I didn't tell on the dude, we both got in a lot of trouble. I actually lost 30 days. I got 30 days added onto my sentence before I could go to the halfway house. And man, I'd been counting down the days, and it's like as soon as I got to 80 days, I was like, man, I'm way under 100. They gave me another 30, and I was back to 110, and I was sick, man. You'd think that 30 days, like, man, you can do that standing on your head. You've already been down some years, but dude, I was so close. I was so ready. So
I love how these guys can tell you how you should be able to feel, you know?
Yeah, I know, man. Hey, man, what are you talking about? You did that whole. Yeah, trust me, I get that a lot. You should feel like this, and you did this.
You did that. How the fuck are you supposed to?
The days are counting down, man, and I got. Not only do I got the tally marks going, but I also got a huge calendar that encompassed that entire 4 months. Where every Monday I would cross out the week. Doing it every day will drive you insane when you're doing time. You know, so every Monday I'd cross out the week, and I was getting out on a Thursday, man, and it was just gradually getting closer and closer. And the SHU lieutenant, the lieutenant that, the lieutenant that works in the SHU, the guy who's in charge of all of it, the top dog, he would walk around every day. I actually had a lot of respect for him. He was not bad, and he would tell us what was going on. And I kept telling him, I was like, hey man, listen, hey, am I really gonna go? Am I really leaving on Thursday? And he was like, kept checking my paper, saying, yes, dude, yes, they're not going to move your date. And I'm like, they already took 30 days, man. What if they take more? He said, bro, they're not going to move your date. You're leaving, man. You're leaving. Excuse me for coughing.
Sure, no problem.
And so, man, that Thursday rolled around, right? Let me tell you how it went down first.
Sure.
Wednesday night, I did not eat dinner. I gave it to my cellmate.
Yeah.
Thursday mornings when I'm leaving, Thursday at 8 a.m. I gave that dinner to my cellmate. I said, here you go, buddy. That's all yours, man. I'm going to be hungry as hell when I leave here. I managed to fall asleep at probably around 7 o'clock p.m. on Wednesday. Your sleeping schedule is completely out of whack back there. There's no concept of day or night.
Gotcha.
Fell asleep. I woke up at midnight. And when I woke up at midnight, I put my radio on my ears to check the time. Yeah, it's midnight. I said, oh, my God, it's Thursday. Today is the day. And I got up and I paced the floor for 7 straight hours. With my heart just pounding the entire time. I thought I was going to have a heart attack, dude. I was so nervous. Like, oh, my God. I was so scared they weren't going to let me go. And then I was kind of scared of the other side of the door, too, at the same time, man. And then I was wondering about being outside the razor wire with no shackles on, man. I mean, just like, oh, man. So I had 2 cups of coffee left. I drank my little coffee while I was pacing. 6:30 rolls around. They hand out the breakfast. I gave it to my cellie. And I'm sitting there complaining to him. And he's, nobody likes to hear about people leaving in prison. People complain about it constantly. Like, you're not really supposed to talk about it that much. But
just keep your
he was my friend, and he only had a few months longer than me, and he's a really good friend of mine. He still is. He just got out. And I was just like, dude, they're not going to let me go. They're not going to let me go. And he was like, yeah, they are. And then when the dude was picking up the breakfast trays, I was like, sir, do you know if they signed my release papers, sir? Am I leaving today? And he was like, I honestly don't know, man. That's going to be next shift. And I'm like, I told you, Chris. He knows that I'm not leaving. he said he hadn't seen it. He should have seen it. And then at 8 o'clock in the morning, I finally sat down, man. And after about 2 minutes, I hear my last name ringing down the hallway. Like, I hear them talking. Someone, Pillault, Pillault. And I was like, oh, shit. Oh, sorry. Excuse my language. I was like, oh, my God. I jumped up and I shook my cellie awake. He had gone back to sleep. I was like, Chris, they just said my name. And he was like, I told you, dude, you're leaving. And I was like, dude, this is not happening. My head started going numb, man.
Imagine.
My hands got all numb feeling, and I felt dizzy, man. And I heard keys down on the end of the hallway. You can always hear the keys coming. And I heard, Pillault. And I was like, yeah. They said, pack it up. I was like, oh, my God. I said, I'm packed. I'm ready. They said, all right, we'll be down there in a minute. And, man, I started turning around, wringing my hands, bro. Felt like my whole head went numb. I was dizzy, man. I was like, oh, my God, dude, is this really happening? This can't really be happening right now. It's been 5 years, man. Oh, my God, is this? They come up there and they make my, there's just a beanhole, a flap in the door where they pass you your food and stuff. So since you're in the hole, they never know what you're in there for. It's basically the jail of prison. They always cuff up your cellmate. So my cellmate got down and put his cuffs on, and then they put the cuffs on me, and I picked up my bag and stuff, and they opened the door, and they said, come on. And I was just like, oh, my God, dude, my eyes were watering. Like I haven't cried in a really, 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 really long time, man. But my eyes were watering so bad, and I was just like, felt like my soul was glowing, man. And we got out, and I got really, really, really dizzy. We got to the top of the staircase because the range I was on was at the top of some stairs, and he said, and I said, excuse me, sir, can you please stop for a second? I'm really dizzy. I think I'm gonna fall down these stairs. And the dude's like, come on, man, like acting like a dick, you know? I mean,
because he does it every day.
CO.
He does it every day.
Yeah, exactly. He's just like, come on, man, come on, get yourself together, walk down the damn stairs, you know? I'm like, oh my god.
Getting yelled at.
Finally, kind of got straight enough to go down, and I'm staggering, man. I can't even tell you, dude. It feels weird, and it sounds like I'm a wimp or something for saying it, man. But I was really dizzy, like dizzy.
It makes perfect sense to me. I gotta be honest.
I was in complete shock, I think, man.
I think the way you're describing it reminds me of when my daughter was born. It's just like you almost feel like you're levitating. I mean, it's a weird feeling.
Yeah, like a disconnect from reality almost.
Yeah. But keep going.
Good. I can't wait to have kids then, man, because this is the best feeling I've ever had in my life. I see why people say that thing. 'Cause if you know what I'm talking about, man, I'm telling you, it's top of the world. Better than any alcohol or drug on the planet.
It's a little. It's more inward than outward, but keep going.
It's like a spiritual bomb or something.
Yeah, it is. I would. I'm not a spiritual person, but I guess that would be the closest thing. I could see how people would
right, exactly. That's the closest I got. You know, is the golden feeling I got that day.
Yeah.
And man, so we get out, man. They finally took the handcuffs off of me while I was standing in the booking, the R&D, which is receiving and discharge. Mm-hmm. Much more the former than the latter in prison. Much more receiving than discharge. Mm-hmm. And the dude's handing me my stuff. He hands me my lyrics that I wrote, man. And I had way too much property accumulated over the course of 5 years to actually bring all of my belongings with me. So I brought all the belongings, my songs, a few books that I had. I left the clothes for my buddy Chris. And, you know, I was just like, I was giggling, dude. I was giggling like a 4-year-old girl. I was just like, oh, my God. I was ecstatic. And I couldn't feel my hands. And the dude told me, my mom had sent me a package of clothes. It was a Mountain Dew shirt, some blue jeans, and some Converse. It was my first time wearing Free World clothes, man. In 5 years, the jeans, I couldn't stop rubbing my jeans. The consistency was so strange.
That's the first time I'm hearing that. Free World clothes. That's.
Sorry. Yeah, Free World is all.
Yeah, I know. I know what I mean. I figured it out, but that's an incredible. Just for me, that's like kind of an incredible statement. Free World.
Right. Yeah, that's the slang. Like people say, on the streets or in the world, in the free world. Like, man, you're really good at cutting hair. Yeah, I'm a barber in the free world. That's what they say, you know?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I got you.
I'm a barber in the world. Like, we're not in the world anymore. We're not in the free world. We're in the alternate universe.
So, you walk out that door. I think it's where we're going to leave it, too.
Yeah, I put the clothes on that my mom sent me. Feeling right. Mountain Dew shirt, Converse. Excellent. I'm just smiling, man. And I walked out. And it turns out, just briefly, I'll say that my mother was diagnosed with cancer like a week before I got out of prison, so she wasn't able to come pick me up because she had her surgery the next day. And I would just so everybody knows, my mother made a 100% full recovery. She is totally cancer-free.
That's great.
That was just a bit of background information. Yeah, I'm absolutely astounded, man. So she wasn't able to be there to get me. My grandfather was there to get me. Gotcha. And my grandmother and my grandfather. So I walk out, man. I go around, and they send me through the front doors of the prison, which I had never been, which is a big, pretty entryway that looks nice for all the people coming to visit. It does not reflect the filth on the inside. I was walking around, man. I got to the front desk where there was a large CO. He's standing there looking at me. He said, "How long you been in, fool?" Or like Sonny or something stupid like that, just goofing around, you know. And I said, 5 years. And he said, 5 years? How old are you, 15? I was like, no, sir, I'm 24. I was 24 then, you know. He grabbed I handed him my release papers. He looked at it. We call them your merry-go-round papers. Is what everybody calls them in prison. They call your merry-go-round papers. It's like you're hopping on the carousel to go around and around out there in the free world, you know? Yeah. And so I showed him my papers, and he stared at them, and he squinted really bad. And, man, I had fear like a bolt of lightning through my whole
like
body.
Something got fucked up, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, dude, just that little second, that split second that he looked at my paperwork, and he was glaring at it kind of and looking confused. But now I know he was just kind of like either squinting or he was messing with me. And he handed me back my paper, and he said, "Be good out there, son." And just like stepped out of the way, and there was the door, the big front open glass doors with no damn razor wire around it, man, with the sunshine and So yeah, man, I walked out front with my little bags. I opened the front door and I walked out. And I don't know, man, maybe it's just paranoia, but I kept looking behind me like they were going to come running out to tell me there was a mistake.
Yeah, no,
and I got like 15 steps into the parking lot. And
is it really so unreasonable? Absolutely everything that could have went wrong, from testimony to a guy that snitched on you that happened to be your lawyer's friend, to a school shooting that you had nothing to do with north of you, Is it really so unreasonable for you to be a little bit, I don't know, paranoid that something shitty might happen on the way out the door?
I know, man.
It's completely reasonable.
It's like everything unfolded exactly incorrectly.
Yeah.
In my case, like exactly to lay out to give me the maximum amount of time. Everything just fell out perfectly for me to just get screwed.
All right, we do have to end this, and I do have to shout out some people.
All right, excellent.
What's happened, Sid? Can you briefly summarize what's going on now, what your plans are now, and which plans are for the future?
Yeah, I got to the halfway house, man. Spent a couple months there. Got house arrest until February. And then when I got my ankle bracelet cut off, my PO decided it was a good idea to send me to rehab because of my history. Gotcha. I didn't do anything or get caught doing anything stupid, Just do it. Rehab. I just got back about 2.5 weeks ago. I'm currently working on getting my driver's license, driving every day. I have a car. I just got to get my license. Got insurance and everything, and I got a job lined up.
You got a job
lined up. I just got to get my license. Yeah, man.
And
so right now I'm putting a lot of work in on RuneScape and YouTube videos.
I also want to shout out. First of all, Josh is in the description box below. By the way, you can get him right. He's in the description box below. He's going to be telling you more of these stories and go into more detail about what his day-to-day, his music, everything that's going on, and he actually can give you some stuff that we didn't talk about. I deliberately left out, so you could go enjoy some of Josh's videos. He's in the description box below. Please hit it up. Josh Pillault YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that. With activism, I mean, we can't go into too much to what we couldn't go into, but you have, to me, and I didn't get too much into it because I wanted the story to get out without over victimizing you. But you are a victim in some sense. I mean, I almost through this conversation, I feel like that you possibly were innocent, completely and totally.
Yeah.
Just simply, I mean, the worst thing that I think you might have been guilty of is a terroristic threat.
Yeah.
And I mean, would that be 6 months to a year tops, a $10,000 to $20,000 fine?
Yeah. 6 months to a year is typically threats.
For threats, and I mean, God, how many threats happen every day? Your specific threat, for some reason, took so much priority for these prosecutors, and
Yep.
Are you thinking about getting the activism about possible, I guess, like over prosecution or?
Absolutely. The prosecutorial problem is an absolutely devastating. I mean, it's terrible what it is right now. A lot of people don't think about it. Federal prison capacity is at 151%. Also, as I discussed with you the other day, recidivism, people going back to prison, is at 90%. And also, 1 out of 33 people on planet Earth is American, but 1 out of 4 prisoners on planet Earth is American. So we're either in an inherently evil country, or there's something going on with our prosecutors.
I wonder I don't know if it's inherently either. We have a culture that's different. Because I live in Europe. I live in Germany. They're different. They're different than we are. The Europeans are different than we are. I don't think we're inherently evil. It might be inherently aggressive, which would lead.
That's a good way of putting it.
But yeah, I wonder about that. But I do get concerned. I don't know, and I'm not trying to lower if there is a intrinsic. I don't know that there's a. I don't know that your case is not incredibly unique, and you were just that unlucky, or if this is a serious government overreach, especially down south. And I'm going to try to educate myself in the coming months. But all that aside, if there is some kind of intrinsic problem here, I would like to see you get pardoned. And I would like this terrible mistake to get taken back, because this is outrageous that it took this part of your life away from you. And you have an interview coming up with Count Dankula. I don't know that I talked to Danks today. There's no scheduled time. He's having a speech problem. He's going to be streaming tonight, but his throat's messed up, and he wants to talk to you. He wants to talk to you because you guys share something in common. Little different story, but it's not necessarily a free speech issue with you. It's about prosecutors, state taking liberties that they wouldn't, and his is a free speech issue. I recommend very highly that you sub Josh, and you go check out Dankula's interview. And if you want to make it, donate. He's just kind of getting this whole thing together to move his activism forward. And when you sub Josh, look for his Patreon, look for all those things. And this story is far. Thanks for being a fuckhead, by the way. I appreciate that. You just subbed me.
Glad to be here, man. Glad to be here.
Josh Pillault.
All right.
Yeah, there you are. I came on screen. And
I can't believe I'd forgotten to click that. I just now saw it. I clicked subscribe. I was like, oh man, I'm not subscribed, really?
Yeah, Josh, you're a good kid, and I wish you the best of luck. Keep walking,
Thanks a lot, man.
Keep walking straight. Don't take any shortcuts, and take yourself seriously, and act professionally. Even if you got to be throwing a mop around for the next couple months, know that it's temporary.
That's fine with me, man.
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
I wake up every morning, I take a deep breath, and I remind myself that there's no razor wire as far as I can see.
Can you promise me that when things get updated that you get back here? And because, actually, whether you do or not, I'm going to be following your case quite closely because, folks, this ain't over. Not by a long shot, I can tell you that right now. Let me read off some.
Whatever you need from me, trust me, I got you. You got my word. Whatever you need from me, updates or whatever, man.
Well, I tell you what, too. If you want to come on as I don't know how funny you are, but if you want to come on as as a guest once in a while, I wouldn't mind having you on too. You seem to be able to talk. Especially if you have a RuneScape situation comes up, you'll be the first guy we put up.
Oh yeah, consult me, man. Consult me. Me and my buddy Tanner will definitely be happy to help you. We're experts.
All right. Well, that'll be fine. Let me read off some of these. Donations. Okay. Right. Sniper AF with the $2. I know you answered this. You know what? Don't answer this. Have you ever dropped the soap in prison? Watch Josh's video. He answers that.
I was about to say.
Don't answer it. Give him a reason to go over there. All right. Brace 110. Fellow RS player. Respect, brother. These fucking old cucks need to learn some sarcasm. He also told me to give you $5. So give me your PayPal. I'll throw you that $5. That's no problem.
All right.
Yeah, he can give you. Well, there's more of that coming. If you need help getting streaming and stuff like that, you don't mind coming to me. The way I see it, you need about $3,000 to get rolling and a good internet connection, and then you can really get over it. Chucky Monster, Fang Sanchez, Illuminati. I haven't heard your name in a little while, sweetheart. Glad you haven't forgot about us. We haven't forgot about you. And Sniper donated again. So, and also, that's it. Thank you so much for your generous donations. This has been a very special shot from the point, and I guess we'll see you all soon. Josh, all the best. Stay on the line after this. I'm gonna say goodbye to everybody. All
right.
I don't know if we're gonna be doing it tomorrow or not, but you could be sure Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me and Liam are gonna be live for you and yours. Please sub my other channels, check out my other socials, from Twitter to Tommy C's Arcade on YouTube to Twitch. This is legendary. See you soon.
This is the almighty infinite, independent excellence, devil fighting, rebel titan, weed smoking alchemist, fake identities, okay, you cool with Jason Bourne, running with these Wolverines, okay, you about to catch a storm. I ain't never been a liar, got tired of niggas playing me, head in my legs like she about to catch a pedigree, Chi-Town to King's home, slapping fives, black stones, 6 mile to danger zones, bullets look like waffle cones, folk affiliated to evolution of Machiavelli, don't make me lead them eagles to you like I'm Chip Kelly. They feel my struggle, I express it through my hip hop. I'm about to make it hard to breathe. Here's a headline.